Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, a very intimate Continental Club where I'm joined and only joined by Ginger Joseph of FD fame. Patrick's on holiday, so he might actually get a word in edgeways.
Finally,
mate.
I never get to speak. That's a lie. I talk all the time.
On today's menu, we have Neymar. Is he worth 220 million? We have Jose Mourinho. Will he be at Manchester United for 15 years?
No.
And Peter Bosch, how is he getting on at Borussia Dortmund? Who knows? I don't know until I look at the third page of my script.
So we're going to find out.
So let's start with Neymar. Joe, the pertinent question, is he worth 220 million pound?
I think he is, but not to PSG.
Right, okay.
I think he is a phenomenal player, third best in the world. Let's have a little look first, though, at where this news has come from. Obviously, Barcelona are actually saying this is obviously not going to happen.
Right.
They've come out publicly. Jordi Mestre, the vice president, said 200% Neymar stays at the club this summer.
Possible, but okay, get his point.
I know, it's a big number. However, news actually in Catalonia and on Catalonia radio, not radar, that'd be weird, is starting to say that it could happen. They actually said last night, this is shot on Friday, that it's 90% a done deal. And the news coming out of Brazil from outlets like Lance Mediaset, they are effectively saying it's already a done deal, 100%, that PSG are going to pay the 220 million euros to Neymar, so Neymar can pay his own buyout clause there, therefore circumventing any FFP rulings, which is risky because Neymar's already been in trouble with the tax man, hasn't he? But
probably wouldn't recommend that.
That seems like if it's going to happen, that's the way it's going to happen.
Right.
He's also apparently told his PSG future teammates, mainly Brazilian ones, like Dani Alves, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, that he's coming, that he's joining the club. Which
says who?
Which always strikes me as bull.
Yes, lazy.
Always strikes me as bull. Do I think he's worth 220 million euros commercially and talent-wise? Yes. Do PSG need him? Absolutely no. They should be walking League with the likes of Cavani, with Di Maria, with Draxler, Lucas Moura. They do not need to spend 220 million euros to win that league. If they do, Unai Emery needs to be out the door now and unacceptable. Champions League is a different conversation.
I was just about to say that. They've already shopped for players that can win them league, and haven't they?
Yeah, easily.
They're after a player who, one, is going to raise the status of that club, and two, help them compete in the Champions League. And had it not been for him in that very special, miraculous game against Barca last season, then they'd have been through to the semi-finals, wouldn't they?
They would have.
And a hell of a lot closer. I think they've been knocking on the door for the last 5 years. A player like him might tip them over the edge. But let's look what he means to Barcelona first before we discuss any potential move. He created more chances than anyone else in La Liga last season. Wasn't even his best
Definitely
season.
not his best season.
Season before, 2015-16, he was on absolute fire.
He was.
When that trident scored 100 plus goals between them. But still, he created more chances than Messi last season. He created 79. Now, in 186 games for the Blaugrana, he scored 105 goals, he's got 79 assists, and he's already won 10 trophies. The guy's also best friends with Suarez and Messi. They're not just the best attacking trio of all time, are they? They go on holiday together.
It's ridiculous.
They live next to one another. He's not going to risk upsetting Messi by saying something like, I'm not going to win the Ballon d'Or.
Which is reportedly what he said.
While I am at Barcelona, I was just about to get to, which has been reported by Brazilian and Spanish media outlets, and it has apparently come from the mouth of his father, Joseph.
But his father's a bit of a sneaky devil.
He is a bit of a snake.
He's perfectly happy to have a few backhanders, his dad. Don't sue me, please. Putting that in quotation marks and not even saying allegedly. Allegedly, he takes a few backhanders. But I think that this could be closer to happening than people think. I think it's odd that they're going out. We obviously seen today's news, as I said, shot on a Friday, that they've had a £72 million bid rejected for Philippe Coutinho. Jurgen Klopp's come out publicly to say he's not for sale. That's a big chunk of money to spend on a forward that, if you had Neymar, Suarez, Messi fit, would Coutinho start in that team? Maybe he starts in a central midfield role? I don't know.
Coutinho is apparently going to play deeper for Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
And they've already bid for a player who can play deep in the form of Verratti, and that's been rejected, hasn't it? Apparently they put together a €100 million bid even prior to this Neymar talk. In fact, this could be PSG trolling them in return for the whole Verratti ordeal. Who knows? But
you never know.
But you're right in saying that Coutinho, where would he fit into that Barcelona lineup? Do they necessarily need him? £72 million would suggest he's their primary target now.
There is talk, though, of course, that Valverde is going to play a 4-2-3-1 and finally ditch the 4-3-3 that Barcelona have been so well known for over the years. And if he plays a 4-2-3-1, he might well need a creative number 10 in that hole. And if that's the case, Philippe Coutinho could be the man to play there.
Despite keeping that 4-3-3, they've played different variations on
yeah,
it,
a lot
of. Luis Enrique was more about that quick counter, whereas Pep Guardiola was all about dominating the space and bringing his fullbacks into midfield, wasn't he? But Coutinho at Barcelona is a tasty prospect.
It is.
He's the sort of player I could see doing well there. He's got incredible technique, vision. He can play in a variety of positions. But anyway, back to the issue at hand, Neymar. Is he worth 220 million? Guys, Barcelona fans, would you take £220 million sale of Neymar if it funded a move for Verratti and Coutinho? Joseph, would you?
Ooh, I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I think that PSG wouldn't sell you Verratti anyway, even if they signed Neymar, unless that was part of the deal. And although Coutinho is a fabulous player and he's a great player to watch, comfortably, I would say Liverpool's best player. Last season was the first time he's hit double figures in goals. That output's not good enough for Barcelona. He's 25 years old. It's not like this is a 21-year-old kid breaking onto the scene. 25 years old. He's a phenomenal player, technically, and maybe he would improve at Barcelona because he is a technically great footballer. But I think if I was them, I would go, you know what, we'll take 220 million for Neymar. How much is it going to take to get Ousmane Dembele out of that club? I'd go and have a serious chat with them, and then I would think about looking at Naby Keita, who we've seen is possibly available for about 90 million euros.
Plays a little deeper though, right? Sergio Busquets isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
No, but he would. Imagine
he's not
Sergio
a traditional regista. He's more of a pivot, isn't he?
If that 4-2-3-1 does happen.
I mean, that 220 million would go a long way to helping Barcelona build their new stadium, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it would pay off about a quarter.
I don't think they'd spend all of that.
Yeah, it would pay off about a quarter, I think, of that stadium.
Quarter?
Maybe even a third.
I've not seen any designs for the new stadium. Does it look tasty?
It looks sexy.
Sexy, there we have it.
Stadium.
Sexy stadium. Neymar, sexy player. Where's he going? Let us know in the comments below. We move on to Jose Mourinho now, who this week said that he wants to stay at Manchester United for another 15 years. I'm sure he does, the rate he's getting paid. But he told Mark Ogden that, so we're going to talk about it anyway. Joseph, he's never been at a club for longer than 3 years. However, before he got sacked by Chelsea last year, he'd never been sacked at any of his prior clubs.
Always by
I mean, left under a cloud, certainly on a couple of occasions.
He also left under success on a couple of occasions.
Yes, as the Manchester United fan, what do you make of this?
Well, firstly, he's never going to stay for 15 years, so let's chuck that in right now. And I kind of feel like that interview, I've actually watched it, it's kind of almost put in his mouth a little bit by Mark Ogden. He says, do you want to emulate Sir Alex Ferguson? And Mourinho is obviously going to go, yes, I want to emulate.
Do you want to be successful?
Yeah, do you want to be successful? So I think take it with a pinch of salt. But I think if there's a club he could do it at, it would be Manchester United in terms of backing from above. I think his biggest problem with Mourinho, trying to stay 15 years, is he pisses a lot of people off along the way.
Yes.
He pisses both players and boardroom staff off a lot. We've seen already this summer, on the summer tour of America, he's had a serious few digs at Ed Woodward over the transfer dealings. It's well documented he wanted 4 players in this window. It looks like probably our transfer business is done and dusted in terms of just getting 2. And I think that the more people he pisses off along the way, the less time he spends at a club. And he's also a big fan of isolating players, which I think can sometimes work against him. A la Luke Shaw, I think he's lucky with Luke Shaw that Luke Shaw is, number one, not a big dressing room character in terms of not very influential, and number 2, I think is now willing to fight for his place a little bit more. I think some of the risks he took last season paid off, i.e. dropping Mkhitaryan for a serious period of time and then bringing him into the squad. That worked for him. I thought he handled Rooney really well. Rooney could have gone tits up big time dropping him because he was such an influential dressing room figure. He obviously eased him out of the team and then let him go back to his boyhood club in Everton rather than forcing a sale to China or forcing a sale to LA, which has put him in good stead with some of the United hierarchy, I think. But he's not going to stay 15 years at a club like Man United because at some stage, things go wrong. And at that stage, Mourinho has an issue where he no longer shoulders the blame. He puts blame on players. He last season came out a few times, didn't he? He said Smalling, he's not doing enough for the team. He's not playing through his injuries. Shaw, not playing through his injuries. He's come out already this summer, like I said, had a go at Ed Woodward. So I think after maybe 4 seasons, 5 seasons, that shit starts to build up and people go.
Okay. The question here is not will he beat Manchester United for the 15 years, Joe? But do you see him being successful in the short to mid-term?
Yes,
especially with the summer targets he's got already. I think Lukaku could potentially be a title-deciding signing. I think it makes such a difference when you've got such a mobile striker who's going to be dragging players left, right, and centre. Zlatan was a great point man, but very pedestrian, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen his goal last night against Manchester City where he runs in behind. You never saw Zlatan running in behind 40-yard sprints, that's for sure.
I've not seen an awful lot of Lindelof, but you have needed a centre-back with really good distribution for a little while. You've got some scrappy players in there, haven't you?
You have.
Players who are up for the physical battle like Smalling, Rojo, Phil Jones, but not necessarily players who are calm on the ball and who can play it out from the back. Maybe I'm being unfair.
I think, no, you're not being unfair because Phil Jones and Smalling are absolute disgraces on the ball. But I think most exciting for me about the short to mid-term is that a lot of our players are quite young. And they are looking, you look at the positions they're in to develop. You look at Paul Pogba, what is he, 24, 23?
If that.
You look at Lukaku, 23, Rashford, 20 I think now. You even look at the back, Eric Bailly, 23, Lindelof, 23, David De Gea is what, 25, 26 for a goalkeeper, that's young. You're going to get probably 10 more years out of a goalkeeper of his quality that's that age. I think that's the exciting thing for Manchester United. I really think as well, I'm getting so excited already, just in pre-season, too excited about the Rashford and Lukaku combination up front.
What is he playing, a 4-4-2? Or 4-2-4?
He's actually, well, the first game he started with a 3 at the back formation.
Right.
And whether or not we operate with that come the first day of the season, I'm not so sure about. He's kind of playing Rashford off Lukaku and working him both right and left, moving him about with Mkhitaryan sat in the hole. It's quite fluid formation so far.
Right, okay.
Lukaku's obviously the point man. You've got Mkhitaryan in the hole, and then he had yesterday against City, he had Jesse Lingard and Rashford kind of fluid, although Rashford is right up there. You know how sort of Dele Alli plays just off the shoulder of Harry Kane in a similar way, bursting behind, which is a threat, because Lukaku wins the ball, brings Mkhitaryan in, and then Rashford's gone. And Rashford, you can't stop Rashford running.
Well, that was the exact combination for the second goal against City, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm really excited about is, like I say, seeing Manchester United play a 2 up front again. Those were the glory days for Manchester United. And I know it's out of favour in the modern game, 2 up front. I miss the days Man United played a 2 up front.
When you have one person contributing goals and assists-wise to around 40% of United's league goals.
Yeah.
I think it was around that number, don't quote me.
Yeah.
That's never going to be good enough to win you a title, is it?
Well, I think
which was the
Mkhitaryan
case with Zlatan last season. So you're going to need Rashford to chip in with more goals. You're going to need Lukaku to hit that 25-goal mark again to compete. But I actually think United are going to be in the top 3 at the very least. Guys, how long do you think Mourinho will be there? Let us know in the comments below, just for a laugh.
2 more years.
Third and final question, guys, is how will Peter Bosz fare at Borussia Dortmund now he's left Ajax? And subsequently, where will Thomas Tuchel go now he's left? Let's start with the former, because he's quite an interesting character, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was technical director at Feyenoord, where they won 2 trophies under his stewardship.
Yeah.
He then went to Heracles. He was also head coach at Maccabi Tel Aviv for a little bit, wasn't he? Did a short stint there before going to Ajax, where he memorably led that young team with an average age of under 21 to the UEFA Cup final. Now, Joe, we know he's good with youth.
Yes.
We know he's from the Johan Cruyff school of thought.
Yes.
But how is he going to fare in the face of fierce competition from a Bayern Munich who have signed James Rodriguez, Nicolas Sula, Tolisso from Lyon? Yeah. Because they're perennial runners-up, aren't they? So how do you think he's going to do there?
I don't think he's quite ready for it. I think it's a big step to go from Ajax to Borussia Dortmund. He obviously didn't win the league last year, and he is going to have to work with such a young team like he did at Ajax. But the difference at Ajax is that those players have all been drilled in the Cruyff school of thought throughout their entire academy progression. You look at the 4-3-3 they're very well versed in. To go to Borussia Dortmund, you don't have that any longer. You don't have that safety net of everybody knowing how to play a certain formation. But you'd have to say, if there was one manager that is going to get the best out of a young team, like we saw last season in the Europa League, average age of about 21 in that side, it could well be Peter Bosz. The attacking talents that Borussia Dortmund have in the likes of Emre Mor, in Pulisic, in Ousmane Dembele are phenomenal. But there's the ever burdening question: how many of those players is he going to lose this summer?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't signed anyone yet, have they?
I don't think they've signed any major signings anyway, any first team guarantees. But I would say that it's worrying, the news about Aubameyang. Could he go? That concerns me. There's big news about Ousmane Dembele, isn't there?
Where are those 31 goals coming from if Aubameyang leaves?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got in the backups the likes of Pastak. He's got Alexander Isak as well, who was brought in under Thomas Tuchel. One of the reasons probably Thomas Tuchel left as well. But I'm just not sure he's the calibre of the manager to match Bayern Munich. What he might be in there to do is to fully take on RB Leipzig head to head and go, let's have it out. We're going to battle out for that second spot, try his best in the cup competitions, because Bayern have improved exponentially this summer and Borussia Dortmund haven't.
That's an interesting point. I'm not sure he would have taken the job had his remit been to win the league.
Yeah, I don't...
It is probably to fend off the advances of RB Leipzig, secure Champions League football. Let's reevaluate after the whole Thomas Tuchel debacle, where he fell out with Zorc, didn't he? The chairman, because he didn't even want Zorc's men near the training ground, did he?
It all went wrong.
He clashed big time with the hierarchy at Dortmund, didn't he? So, with that in mind, let's move on to Thomas Tuchel and where we'd, maybe like to see him end up, where's realistic, and what he'll probably do. Personally, Joseph, I would like to have seen him at Roma after Spalletti left. I think they have a very similar mentality on football, high pressing, get the ball up the pitch nice and quickly, not obsessed with possession, but we're going to be almost artistic on the break. Yeah. What about you?
True. Where would I like to see him end up? I would like to see him end up at Man United, obviously, after Jose Mourinho, but I don't think it'll happen. I think the reason he didn't
Especially when Mourinho's going to be there for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the reason he didn't go to Roma was potentially because he is so chalk and cheese in the boardroom.
And it seemed they had a manager lined up.
Yeah, I think Monchi wanted someone. I would also really like to see him at a club like Tottenham Hotspur. I think Pochettino, if he does a good job this year, could be in line for an absolute monster of a job. Whether it's obviously not Barcelona because of the Espanyol job at Bayern Munich, maybe even Real Madrid if Zidane was to move on, or I'll tell you where Thomas Tuchel will be a sexy fit. Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid.
He's the complete antithesis of everything Diego Simeone stands for.
Wouldn't that be nice to see? I would love him at Atleti.
I mean, it would be a great gear change, but they love, and the fans love being the underdogs. I think they almost enjoy the scrappy football they play at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree, but it'd be quite class to see him just try and reinvent that side.
It would be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, how to go from one of the most defensive teams in Europe to one of the most high pressing attacking. That would be so good to watch. Yeah. He would have to make so many signings. It'd be hilarious.
What do you guys think? Where should Thomas Tuchel end up? Vote in the poll just above. We've provided you options. Polite if anything. So that was this week's Continental Club, guys. Thank you for watching. What should we discuss next week? Get your hot topics in the comments below. Joseph, what should they do now?
Follow us on Instagram. Follow us over there. Some interesting stuff.
Handles.
Some Instagram live. Stuff happening. Funny.
And look out for the first episode of Stat Wars The Champions, which comes this Saturday, which will be tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be tomorrow. If this goes out Friday. If it goes out Sunday, then it would have been yesterday.
If Zach edits it in time.
So
a lot of questions.
You'll have it when you get it.
Not many answers.